name's Troy Jackson, Assistant Chief of Operations from South Metro Fire Rescue. I started in 1990 for Castlewood Fire Rescue and kind of promoted up from there from firefighter to engineer, then on to lieutenant, eventually captain, training chief, battalion chief in training, and then to assistant chief of operations. Throughout my career, I've had the privilege of working on both trucks and engines. I've also spent quite a bit of time teaching academies and working in training, incident safety officer. So I kind of had to balance my time between being online and being in the office. When we talk about leading yourself, I think it's important to remember that regardless of your role in the department, everybody has the opportunity to be in a leadership position. And I would say, firefighters are a great example of that. A firefighter in our organization, with the growth that we're seeing right now, can easily be very tenured in a year and a half, and have people underneath them that look up to them and go to them for guidance. I think it's important for everybody, regardless of formal leadership given to you by promotion or what it is, that they remember that everybody has the opportunity to be a leader and takes advantage of those opportunities. Sometimes we forget that some of the simplest things that we do, like spending a few hours in the evening with a new recruit and going over equipment, or talking about policies and procedures, setting expectations, that can come from somebody that just has another year or even a few months at times. So everybody in our organization has the opportunity to lead regardless of their formal leadership or informal leadership. And quite frankly, sometimes the informal leaders have a greater impact than some of the formal leaders in our organization. When we talk about leading others, again, for me, it's really important that you know your people. If you're a leader and you don't know if your people you're leading, if they have families or what their challenges are, what their goals are, you're probably failing as a leader. I think it's really important that you take time, almost on a daily basis, to get to know your people and find out what motivates them and what's important to them, and use that to kind of bond with your people. One of the foundations of leading people is knowing what drives them, and again, where they're headed. What are their expectations of you as a leader? What are their goals? How can you help them get to where they're going? And without sitting down and having those conversations, whether on a formal basis or informal basis, it's very challenging to really connect with your people. And for me, connecting with your people has been part of my success. Leading the organization really for me is you got to know what your people are seeing, what they're thinking, what they're feeling. And again, for me, the desk is a very dangerous spot to lead from. So it's really important that you get out and try to understand the challenges that your people are facing. As part of our executive team, I think there's a lot of collaboration that goes on between all the different bureaus on how we support each other, thinking strategically on where we're going as a department, what the threats are to us. And again, it's very different from a leadership perspective and managing on a day-to-day perspective. I would challenge all of us to really look at ourselves and how do we do managing change. When the organization changes something, do we embrace it? Do we look at it and say, hey, this is good for us. There's going to be some challenges with it. I don't fully understand it, but I know we need to do some things different, and we're willing to try it and help support it? Or do we push back against any change and say, well, it's different, it's uncomfortable, we're not going to be successful as an organization if both our formal and informal leaders throughout the organization don't embrace change and make it part of our culture moving forward. I think one of the things that really makes South Metro so special is you don't have to be in a formal leadership role to have an impact on the organization. And I really do think it takes a village for us to be successful, and that comes from all of our employees embracing their part in leading others. Great leadership is a lifestyle, it's not a technique. Really good leaders, they show up the same all the time, whether it's, being a coach, being a dad, being a mom, at work, they're just authentic. It's who they are. It's really, ingrained into their DNA. I believe those are the best leaders. People that are around us notice quickly if you show up one way one day and a different way the other day. I think that can be very detrimental to you from a leadership perspective. And one of the things that I see is in some leaders that struggle is that inconsistency. One day, they're very authoritative, and the next day they want to be your best friend. And I think that's difficult for people. I think people will give you grace on your management style, but consistency is important, and showing up and just be who you are. And again, from an organizational perspective, we hire really good people. It's okay to be who you are, and people will come and want to follow you if you're authentic. The thing I love most about leading is taking care of people. I'm really interested in what makes them tick, what drives them, what motivates them. I think early in my career I learned that leadership was balance. And for us, especially as line firefighters, sometimes we really focus on the X's and O's of our job because they're so very important. If we make a mistake on the fire ground, people can get hurt, people can get killed. So that's often the focus of us from a leadership perspective. I need to be really good at the X's and O's, and it really is something that we often focus on from a professional development standpoint. But I also think it's important for us to remember as an officer, if our people aren't happy, we can kill somebody over years. And when I say kill them, we knock down their motivation. They don't understand the mission. They don't understand the direction. They don't buy into where we're going. They're not an engaged employee. So I think balance for me is really balancing the people aspect of leading versus the X's and O's aspect of leading. And I think when I look at are really, really good officers, the officers that I really respected in the fire service growing up, and our officers that I think have a super bright future with us. Those are the people that really figured out that there's two very distinct sides of leading. There's the X's and O's side, the competency side, and there's the people side. And having a good balance between being competent and caring about our people really is the secret to success as a leader. It doesn't bother me to sit down and have a a really difficult conversation. And a lot of people have pointed out to me that one of my biggest leadership strengths is my ability to have a really difficult conversation with somebody and them to walk out of the room going, wow, that was amazing. I'm really glad he was able to share that with me and give me perspective. And I think mainly that's because people know that I have their back. I've built trust with people. They understand that if I'm telling them something harsh or critical, that it's with love and it's for growth, and it's not to knock them down or to gain power or position on them. I believe that's trust is the foundation of being able to have those really difficult conversations with people, and to be able to walk out of the room and still feel confident that we're going to move forward. Not having the conversation early might be the most unkind thing you can do, because it reinforces they think they're doing the right thing, and they continue to have that behavior where you could have cut it off very early on and just been like, dude, that doesn't fly. And it's a conversation. Now it's progressed to something more formal. One of the things that I would say is, and it's something that I've struggled with early on in my career, but just be a reader. Pick up a book and look at things other experienced leaders are doing. And when you really look at the leadership principles, all the books have some really basic components to them. And one of them that almost always comes up is, care about your people, listen to your people, take care of your people. But it's all people related. Make sure your people feel safe, make sure they feel listened to, make sure you understand the challenges that they have in their job. And again, good leaders take time to pick up a book and learn from others to kind of speed up that learning curve from a leadership perspective. For me, when I think about professional development, it's formal, it's informal, it's on the job. It really is everything. And professional development is just opening your mind to new ideas. It's asking people, what makes you successful. It's picking up the phone and calling a friend when you run into a difficult situation. There's no one way to build professional development. You can do it through a college, you can do it through a mentor, you can do it from a lot of different avenues. It really is just asking questions, being curious, and opening your mind. My hope for people listening to this message is that they really invest in being better leaders in professional development, and hopefully some of the things that I'm saying they can put into their leadership toolbox and can make them better leaders. And for me, I've talked a lot about connecting with people, and if you're a leader and you're not comfortable connecting with people, you're going to have to figure that out. It's a key to being successful as a leader. And my hope is that some of the things that we talk about today are tools people are able to use to make them better leaders. So my challenge to our other leaders and people in the organization, our new firefighters, is just be the best you can be at your job. Be the best firefighter, be the best engineer, and constantly try to raise that bar in yourself. And again, hold yourself accountable to a very high level. Learn all you can learn about the job, and be less focused on what that next step is. As a final note for everybody listening to this video, one thing that I'd like to encourage everybody to do is just lead from the heart. be very authentic in your leadership style, and you don't always have to be, a true student of leadership and know all the quotes and read all the books. Oftentimes, all you have to do is be a little vulnerable and again, lead with your heart.